12-volt socket. This one is going to be the Marinco. If it comes in focus here. This is a much better high quality one than some of the cheap ones. They're about 12-15 bucks online. And what we're going to end up doing is drilling a hole right here. There's enough space on the back side. I've checked with my finger by inserting it in on the back side, make sure that the depth is correct. And we're going to drill a 1 1/8 inch hole. As you can see, I've already put the little spot, and I've done that so basically it lines up kind of even with that hole that will end up being like that, just to make the logo look better. And this is going to give us so that we can run either all-time power or just power when the vehicle is on. I'm probably going to run this one as full-time power, so when we're on the trails, if we shut the Jeep off, we still have our CB radio, and then we can still have our regular 12-volt socket up there. Alright, after drilling through the first layer, there is a second layer back there. That's the first layer came out. And as you can see, there's a second little small layer. And I did feel that with my finger on the back side, and once we're through that, we should have all the way with enough depth to put this in. Alright, I do apologize about the lighting. I'm trying to get this in the best focus, but as you can see, that is plenty deep for this hole. And now we can basically run our electrical wire. I do have the tow package on it, which gives us the buttons there, and our wires are up underneath up there, so it's a very short run for me. If you don't, you'll have to run it to something else, either your cigarette lighter or... Alright, as you can see, this is the plug that I'm using. The negative is going to have a little bit of bend. This will give it a little bit more clearance as it goes in. And the back side of this has this little tiny grommet nut that we're going to basically stick up on the back side, push this in and turn it. There are some little edges in here right there, and what I'm going to do is end up sticking this part kind of in the middle of that, so it kind of, stick this in that little ledge, that way it kind of grips it and holds it in place real well. It's going to look like flush in. Now what I'm going to do is that the ring nut, how it's held in, I can see it kind of wiggling loose and allowing this to come out. So what I'm going to do is put some RTV sealant on it, just so that once it's kind of in, it's held in place, and I don't have to worry about it moving or anything. Just to kind of make it a little bit more secure. But this is nice and tight, it's not wiggling or anything else. And once that RTV seals, it's just going to be a solid contact. So as you can see, I've pulled this out a little bit, and it's got this little bit of flat edge, which allows that ring to kind of slide into position. So I'm just going to come in here and just fill in some RTV. So once it gets in, it's going to make a nice little contact, and I'm going to smear this in with my hand just so that it doesn't get all over the outside rim. Alright, now I'm just going to reinstall this, and that is using a 10mm socket. And then we're going to reinstall this little cap. It's got 3 little prongs, so just make sure you get that lined up the right way. And the way you get that out is just using a small screwdriver and come in on the back side and just pop it out. And as you can tell, that is it finished. I will finish doing the wiring up here. We'll go over that in a sec. And then we're going to put the carpet back in. The auxiliary wires. Right here is going to be the red and white one. That is all-time positive. And I'd have to look at the instructions. I think it was the pink and white that's on the ignition only. But I'd have to look that back up to be able to confirm that. So I'm just going to run this into my full-time positive, and I'm going to ground it out somewhere else. So like I said, this will always be powered. Done. We're going to use the bolt that's right here. This is on the side kick panel area. This is the Line-X, which is why it's a little harder to see. We're just going to do a little kind of round connector, stick it in between the 2 layers on the back side so we don't see it, and then stick the bolt back through. And there you go. There is the finished product. As you can tell, it pretty much looks close to factory. Obviously it's not factory, but it is mighty close. It looks very good, and from the outside there, it is very hard to tell it's even there outside of the norm. And this is our setup. As you can tell, we are able to now have that 12-volt in, having our CB radio on this from Jeep Unique, which you guys, if you haven't checked them out, I will say it's a good product. We've also got smaller radios you can clip up here. And if you guys haven't looked, there is a thing called iAudio. It is a charging phone dock. We ended up running the wire down the back side, and I've ran it to right here for right now. I might end up running another power cord like that on the other side just to really hide that wire. But that one is nice because it does leave us a USB port to also charge off of with a quick charge.